Hi everyone. My name is Leo Carroll, and I'm a final year student in the Bachelor's for Climate and Environmental Sustainability in DCU. Now, if some of you guys are curious about this course or have any questions about it, I actually joined in the first year that this course was established, so hopefully I can answer any bits and bobs you have questions about because it has changed a fair bit over the last 2 years. But just to give a brief overview of the course, so the course in general is about 3 to 4 years long. There is an optional year where you can conduct a paid intra placement or an Erasmus. So that's basically just a work placement for a whole year, and that'll be in a field related to environmental science. So some of these positions will be organized by DCU, and some of them you can actually organize yourself if you want to. And an Erasmus, you can just study something related to the field in another country. Now, altogether, the course is currently 454 points, and the requirements for actually joining the course, there aren't any huge specificities. You won't need like geography or a biological background. You just need those general entry requirements. But I would suggest if you have especially an interest in geography or biology, this course may really appeal to you. Now, some of the main areas of learning are climate science, physical geography, ecology, marine biology, environmental policy, human geography, and sustainable urban development, as well as geology. And some of the careers that you get out of it, we're going to go more depth into those. But from the offset, a lot of climate scientists go through courses similar to this, or becoming a sustainability manager, environmental consultant, some jobs along those lines. And at the moment, these jobs are in very high demand. I mean, as you can see, we are suffering through a huge climate crisis, and so there is a huge demand for climate-oriented jobs. So it's a good field to get started out in, especially out of the leading cert. So just taking a look at some of those possible career opportunities. Of course, we have the climate scientist, environmental consultant. You can also become a data analyst, an environmental resource manager, an environmental researcher, corporate social responsibility manager, a strategic change manager. Now, a lot of companies nowadays are setting up a specific sustainability department. So a lot of these organizations are looking for someone to sort of take management for making their company more sustainable, be it like a restaurant with food waste or even a hotel. One of our recent graduates has actually gone on to become the sustainability manager at her hotel that she was working in part-time during the course. So there are a lot of opportunities there, and also becoming conservation manager. So that's something more along the lines of what I had originally aimed to go for in this course. I'm more interested in, well, entomology is my specific sort of field, so anything to do with ecology or animal science. And I was hoping to take this into that area. And I'm actually planning to do a master's next year in a similar field. So there is a lot of variety as to what you can study in this course, and really taking those interests into what you want to pursue after you finish. Now, taking a look at some of the modules just for first year, geographical interpretation and communication skills is one of the first modules you're going to have. That's just giving you the basics of sort of getting used to using some mapping softwares. There's nothing that's too really intense in first year. It's all going to be very easy. You're going to be like really easily drawn into it, and there's a lot of fun activities involved as well. So there's an introduction to environmental spatial analysis too, and that'll have to do with a lot of mapping. Also a general introduction to sustainability and why it's important, and an introduction to human geography. So this introduction to human geography is going to be a lot of what you might have covered already in the Leaving Cert if you have taken geography, but it's all sort of about that secondary learning. So again, you don't really need to have that geographical background. Of course, it's helpful for this course, but even if you don't have it, you will be brought up through some of the basics as well. Hazardous earth science, data literacy and analytics for the 21st century, Ireland in Europe and the wider world. So a lot of this course will have topics that focus in on Ireland in particular, especially in regards to physical geography, just because it is very helpful for using mapping softwares and also going out and doing field work to be well acquainted with that. So global climates is another major one that you will research inside this course. Again, throughout the later years, you will be able to go sort of more in depth into the regions that you're really interested in. Sustainable cities, introduction to biogeography and ecology. That's one that I took particular interest in as well, and there are some creative projects involved in that, which we'll get into later. And your sustainable journey one. So then in second year, some of these will carry on from that, like Sustainable Journey 2. But again, you'll cover the evolution of Ireland's physical landscape. So it's really going in depth into the physical geography of Ireland. There's an introduction to marine and coastal environments, sustainable food security, and climate change causes and consequences. So a lot of these topics might sound rooted in just one area, but you can take them in a field that you might be more interested in. I know some students in my course are more interested in, say, the impact of fast fashion or just environmental policy in general. And you can include aspects of each of those into these modules. Although there are no modules that you can specifically select for, it's all sort of preset. But the ones that are available there is a lot of wiggle room to delve into what you're really interested in. And there'll be environmental data analysis, environmental economics, climate change, and environmental policy management. There's a sustainability field trip as well in second year, which is very exciting. I'll again delve more into that when we go into sort of the events and some of the little activities that you can get involved in this course. Then Sustainable Journey 2 and insights through collaboration. And so in your final year, you'll cover water resource management, nature-based solutions, the environmental impact assessments, environmental philosophy, challenge-based learning for transformative change, environmental systems, climate and environmental sustainability research project. Now that's going to be your dissertation for your final year. So, don't worry about that yet, but it's something that you will get to sort of focus your interest in on a lot. So that's really where the majority of your grade for the final year is going to go in, and it's going to be where you really want to focus in on what you're the most interested in, because it will reflect well as well when you finish to sort of have that dissertation on a topic you're really, really interested in. And then Sustainability Journey 3. So in terms of some of the projects and opportunities throughout this course, so there's actually a lot that you can get involved in. I find a lot of aspects of this course to be quite sporadic, and that is really exciting. But of course, I understand that some people prefer maybe a more organized sort of schedule where exactly what's going to be coming up, but opportunities will be popping up all the time. And it's just because this field of science in general, climate science, is such a changing field that new opportunities are popping up all the time. We had a recent collaboration with Notre Dame University in Indiana, and they were actually asking for some of the students from our course to go over to Indiana, and some of the students from Notre Dame to also come over here. And there was a cross-promotional research project that was conducted. So I was selected from this course in my first year to actually go over there, and that was a wonderful experience. It lasted all throughout the summer, and we got to learn a lot about implementing nature-based solutions along this river shed that they had there. So if there is things that you really want to delve into, or if you really want to take time to have an experience that's sort of more out there and active and engaging, I would really suggest this course, especially if you're someone who's maybe more interested in like field work and really getting directly involved, as opposed to just working on, say, of course there will be aspects of policy management and things like that, but in terms of desk research, there's a bit of a mishmash. But if you're really interested in going into fieldwork and getting really involved, I would heavily suggest this course. Then over there, you can see that castle. That's a trip that we took to Kylemore Abbey. That's during the big field trip that's in second year that we were discussing. So that will be about a week-long field trip, and it's partnership with University in Amsterdam and also in Finland. So it depends on which year it is, but you could be going over to Amsterdam or Finland or here to do a geographical research project. It's sort of set up as a hackathon, which is where you're given about 24 hours to work with other students and really get some creative juices going and create some new ideas and ways to implement maybe climate mitigative measures in an area, or ways to engage with local policymakers or farmers, just to try to implement some new climate adaptative measures. So it's really, really interesting, and it's super nice to have this in-person experience where you can really get involved like that. In first year, there's also a sustainability challenge that's run. So for 30 days, you can change an aspect of your life to be more sustainable. And that's a project that a lot of the students really like. I personally was a huge fan of it. I decided to implement insects in my diet as an alternate form of protein, and that really seemed to buzz well. The Irish Independent actually wrote an article about our courses, the different projects that we were undertaking. So it was really, really fun, and it's a great way to actually get creative with it. So it's not a course where you're just necessarily just nestled into one area and you have to choose a particular topic each time. There are definitely areas where you can get a bit creative with it and express your interests like that. There's also a sustainability swap shop that we run in second year. So it's, again, tying into fast fashion, and it's teaching students how to sort of engage with the student body and just with other people as well, just to collaborate and create a space where people can be more sustainable and talk to each other about sustainability. So that's a really fun project to get involved in. And we used to run it with the business course as well. So you can kind of get those opposing viewpoints on sustainability. And there's also some field work that you can get involved in too. We usually do a trip down to the Tolka River. You can see me there looking into a wee net. That's from doing some cake sampling. So we were looking for invertebrates and also measuring different aspects about the water pressure and also the rain runoff in the area. So there's a lot of cool little experiments that you can do there and a lot of field work involved. That's another snap from the Notre Dame trip, where you went down to a local river canal system that they're working on. And there are a lot of field projects like that, where you can go to an area in person and really see how things are done. I did a recent field trip to a sewage waste plant, and we got to see the entire process and see how that was affecting water quality and the methods that they had in place to prevent any contamination. And it was really interesting to see all of that working in person. And the last picture there is just from my internship. So I took the third year to actually do an intra placement, is what we call it. So I was working in Deloitte, Dublin, and that was a partnership that was organized by DCU. And so I went there for the whole year. It was about 12 months of a paid internship. It's a really, really nice program to sort of get yourself sort of acquainted with the real working world and the possible job opportunities you might have after this course. I really took shine to it, and I might go back to an area like that or a field like that. It really does expand your worldview a lot, and I'd heavily, heavily suggest, if you're able to, in the third year, taking that internship or trying to go for an Erasmus or something. It's just really nice to also get a few connections as well. By the time that you're near the end of the course, I feel much better prepared for the real working world. So I definitely suggest checking that out. And there's a lot of different partnerships that come out each year between DCU. So there's bound to be something that you will have somewhat of an interest in, be it an internship or an Erasmus program. As for supplementary activities with this course, so I find that doing things outside of the direct course content can actually be really helpful for boosting your skills in, writing about climate mitigative measures, or also just understanding this whole field, because there is a lot involved. And again, it's constantly growing. So there's always new information coming out. So one of the best ways I found to get better acquainted with maybe local policy and things like that was to actually get involved with local initiatives and sustainability groups. So I found out there was a sustainability group in my local town, and we set up a lot of events like tree planting and also just eco festivals, things like that, to get the community really involved with sustainability. And it was really, really successful, and I learned a lot about producing reports, things like that. I mean, we're working on a biodiversity action plan for the town, things like that. It's so, so helpful, and you can bring all of it into your work as you go through the course, and it just makes it so that it's really fun to engage with, and you have a better idea as well as to more opportunities that you can take after you finish the course. And making connections as well is really, really handy. So another good way to make those connections is to use the available resources that we have here, but also the DCU Futures program in general. So that's the program that this course is nestled within. There's a few courses that came out sort of relatively recently that are involved in this Futures course. And what that means is you have the opportunity to take on extra few little modules on the side. There's language electives, especially that I'd suggest. So currently I'm doing Spanish as an addition to this course, and you get a separate sort of degree for it. And I found that to be extremely helpful. I actually did a internship then last summer in Costa Rica, just working with in a butterfly garden that they had over there for a conservation project. And having that Spanish under my belt actually made it a much better experience. I mean, I really felt like I was able to actually engage directly with a lot of the public there. And we were trying to do a lot of science communication. There's like tour work and stuff. So I found that to be a really helpful skill. So yeah, use all the available resources you can in DCU. There's a lot of them, and there's also a lot of related clubs and societies for this course. So there's a sustainability society and things like the style society as well, focus in on fast fashion and organizing those those swap shop events, things like that. So it's really helpful to get involved that way. And when you have those extracurriculars under your belt, it's a really good gateway into maybe working on a project within DCU over the summer, because it can get quite competitive for going for those maybe scholarship positions that come in, or internships on the side. So it's really handy to have that stuff on your belt. And there's also a lot of climate related events and speakers that come to DCU. I remember we had a climate comedian who came in a few years ago, and he was brilliant. He really added levity to the whole, disaster of climate change, and everyone panicking about it. But there are some really, really great speakers who come around on campus. So just keep an eye on the DC website for what events are going on, and you can really sort of stay in the know. And the point that I think is most important is to pursue topics of interest, topics that really interest you in the course. Again, even if it may not look like it at first, there is a lot of wiggle room in some of these assignments that you get, especially in these modules, where you can implement things that you yourself are interested in, and have a conversation with your lecturers, or with whoever is running the program, about what your interests are, because there are ways to sort of tailor it towards that, and to really focus on getting the help you need, especially before you graduate, to get in an area you're interested in, because the region of climate science is so broad, and there's so many different opportunities there, that it can be hard to focus in on something, and you will need that extra help along the way. So I would suggest, always along the way, think about what you might be interested in, what aspects of this course are really interesting you, and maybe really pursuing that. So going up to lecturers, or just people involved in the course, even your fellow peers, and just discussing what you're interested in, because it really makes it easier when you're pursuing jobs and things at the end of this course. So yeah, that'll be all there. I'll just pop over to the main chat here. Great. So with that, that'll end just the main talk portion. But I want to hear a bit from you guys. If there's any questions you have about this course at all, feel free to just pop them in the chat, and I can get right back to you. Otherwise, I can just talk about some of the other aspects of this course that you might find interesting, because there are a few other bits and bobs. But I'll just wait a second to see if anyone wants to message in the chat. Okay, grand. Well, if anyone, well, I see some people typing. Additionally, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask after that, might be a little longer or anything like that, you can also feel free to jump onto me on UniBuddy. I have a whole site where you can ask additional questions. Oh, great. Yeah, perfect. So what sort of jobs could be pursued from this course? So again, there is a lot of variety. So a lot of people go into, say, climate science, and consulting is a big one at the moment. So a lot of companies now are looking for people to help them with sustainability management. A lot of companies nowadays will actually have an entire sustainability department. So that's what I was working on during my internship in Deloitte. We were actually having a sustainability team where we were helping companies with road mapping services. So that's basically telling them how they can be more sustainable in the next 5, 10, 20 years, and really guiding them in that process and to align with policy. But if you're not that interested in sort of the policy side of things, or just strictly writing, there are a lot of jobs in, say, conservation or field work that you can get involved in as well. I know some people went right into masters working in DCU, or even into PhDs, where you can sort of focus more on an area of conservation. I personally want to go a bit more into ecology, biology, and conservation and science communication. But there are a lot of other jobs that you can get into as well. If you want to be an analyst, that's also another position. And again, just most organizations these days do have a large climate focus. So there are a lot of jobs in those areas as well. If you're interested in sort of the management kind of area. Again, one of my friends in my course who graduated is now the sustainability manager of the hotel she was working at. So even using previous connections you have can bring you into a climate related job. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question there. Okay, great. Well, if no one else has any questions, I might end the stream soon. But again, you can feel free to message me on Unibuddy as well. You'll see me on the DC website if you just look up Unibuddy. Leo Carroll, I'll be right there. I can answer any climate environmental sustainability questions you might have. And feel free to come on campus for any of our open days as well, where we'll be free to answer any questions about this course that you might have as well. So thanks so much for, oh, Patrick, you have a question there? Oh, no worries at all, guys. Yeah, thanks so much for popping on in. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the course in the coming years. So great. See you.